Greetings and salutations, one and all. I am Joe from Florida 14, coming to you from the 14th Congressional District of the 27th state to enter the Union. Thank you so much for listening. And today I want to give a special shout out to Twitter user PanchoVilla9999. Bro, thank you for your support. You're an inspiration to me, and this podcast is all you, bro. Thank you again. Now, as Winston Wolfe once said, let's get down to brass tacks, shall we? ANTIFA. Pantifa. I like Pantifa. We're going to run with that. Because if you've seen the Pantifa guy with the mask that looks a lot like women's underwear, excuse me. Yeah. Also, there is the picture of the guy who is attempting to beat somebody up. His drawers rolled on him, and those, again, really look like women's underwear. So, yeah, we're going with Pantifa. Now, there is an angle to all this that I do not feel is being explored enough. I don't think that enough questions are being asked about this. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Sherman set the Wayback Machine for 1932 Germany, where the original, Pantifa movement was formed. Now, originally it was called Anti-Fascist Action, and it was formed by the German Communist Party, the Communist Party of Germany. I'm going to let you process that for a minute. Now, keep in mind that Hitler was not elected chancellor until the next year, 1933. And when Hitler, and after Hitler was elected, you had the ANTIFA, okay, you had the Anti-Fascist Action Movement, the German communists fighting Hitler's Nazis, Hitler's National Socialists. History tells us in 1930s Germany, the communists were fighting the socialists. So now let's fast forward to the 80s, where you had a little bit of a renewal of Antifa. They were known as the anti-racists. There was a group in Minnesota called the Baldies. But even, all throughout the history of this organization, there has been one constant, and that constant has been violence. Now, we look at the Pantifa of today. Wherever these people show up, there is violence. And again, this goes back to their roots. At its core, this is a violent group hell-bent on destroying free speech. Now, what's interesting today is the money man behind today's movement, and that would be real-life Nazi war criminal George Soros. George Soros is funding today's fascist anti-fascists, because there's a meme going around the internet that says when fascism comes to America, it will be called anti-fascism, and it's attributed to Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill never said that. There was a Democrat politician in Louisiana in the 1930s who said, and I quote, "When fascism comes to America, it will be called anti-fascism." Now, there's another version of it, written by novelist Sinclair Lewis, who said when fascism comes to America, it will be wrapped in the flag and carrying a cross. Either way you look at it, either way, okay, the Pantifa movement is of today. The people that we see at Berkeley, the people that we've seen all over the country, these people are the fascists. They do not believe in free speech. They have attacked people for looking the part. They attacked one guy for looking like a Nazi. They're funded by a Nazi, but they're beating up people who look like Nazis. Okay? And again, this group of people, no matter who makes up the group, at its core, it has always been a violent group. And that is why the U.S. government needs to declare them a domestic terrorist organization and treat them like terrorists. Because when you have George Soros, and if you know anything about George Soros, you know this guy was born in Hungary. He helped the Nazis in Hungary during World War II find Jews, arrest them, steal their assets. And again, when you look at the original Antifa movement, they were communists fighting against the Nazis that George Soros supports. That to me is amazing. And there are questions there that nobody is asking. Now, Antifa today are nothing but paid protesters. They're just hired thugs, goons, and, we've seen the pictures of them carrying weapons, sometimes with nails and, spikes and that. Good luck against my Glock or Colt. Hopefully it never comes to that. We never want it to come to that. But if it does, I like my chances against theirs. But again, why is George Soros funding a movement that at its core opposed everything that he stands for today? That is a question that needs to be asked and it needs to be explored that we don't have time for today. But I wanted to throw it out there. I wanted to get people thinking about this, get people saying, well, yeah, what about all this? And if you think a little bit differently, if you ask a couple of more questions than you did before, you're welcome. I am Joe for Florida 14. Thank you for listening.